Have you ever heard of SeaWolves? They're not some mythical creature from a pirate story. They're a real subspecies of grey wolf, living along the rugged coastline of British Columbia, Canada, and they are proving to be much, much smarter than anyone ever gave them credit for. These aren't your typical forest-dwelling wolves. Their lives are tied to the ocean. They swim from island to island, hunt seals, and feast on whatever the tide brings in. But recently, they've developed a new skill, one that has left scientists absolutely stunned. It's a behavior that blurs the line between animal instinct and what we might call tool use. The story starts with a puzzle. Researchers working with the Heiltsuk First Nation near Bella Bella on BC's central coast had a problem. They had set up a series of crab traps to help control an invasive species, the European green crab. These traps were essential for their conservation work, but something kept damaging them. Week after week, they'd find their traps mangled, the bait gone. At first they were completely stumped. Some of the traps were set in deeper water, submerged even at low tide. This led them to a logical, but ultimately incorrect conclusion. It had to be a marine mammal, maybe a seal, or an otter. They couldn't imagine a land animal being the culprit. Kyle Artel, a researcher involved in the project, remembers the confusion. He said, "We were going well. What the heck is doing this right? It can't be a bear, a wolf. They're not going to dive down to get to the trap. So what is getting the traps?" The mystery deepened. The damage was consistent, suggesting a deliberate and repeated action. It was a real whodunit set against the wild and remote backdrop of the Pacific Northwest. The team knew they needed evidence. They needed eyes on the traps when no one was around. So, they decided to set up motion-activated cameras, pointing them directly at the scene of the crime. They hoped to catch the vandal in the act. They had no idea they were about to capture something truly groundbreaking. Within a single day of setting up the cameras, they got their answer. And it was not what they expected. The footage was breathtaking. It showed a lone wolf, a sea wolf, wading into the chilly ocean waters. But it wasn't just swimming. It had a target. The wolf swam out to one of the bright orange buoys that marked the location of a submerged crab trap. It grabbed the buoy with its mouth and began swimming back to shore, towing it along. Once on the beach, it dropped the buoy. Then, with incredible precision, it picked up the exposed line in its jaws. Just like a human fisherman would, the wolf began to pull. It walked backward, yard by yard, reeling in the rope. Slowly, the crab trap emerged from the depths, dragged onto the sand. The wolf then easily broke into the trap and feasted on the bait inside. The research team was floored. "We had to pick our jaws off the floor," Artel admitted. It was one thing to know wolves are intelligent, but this was on another level. This wasn't just scavenging, it was a complex multi-step process. The wolf had to understand the connection between three separate objects: the buoy, the line, and the trap containing the food. It had to execute a series of actions in a specific order to get its reward. This is a level of problem-solving that scientists rarely witness in the wild, and it strongly suggests the use of tools. A tool in this context isn't just a hammer or a screwdriver. It can be an object, like a rope, used to achieve a goal. And it wasn't a one-off event. The mystery of the damaged traps was solved, but a new, more fascinating one had just begun. Was this the work of a single exceptionally brilliant wolf, a lone genius? Or was this a learned behavior, spreading through the local pack? The cameras kept rolling, and soon, they captured another wolf doing the exact same thing. A second individual, using the same technique: swim to the buoy, tow it to shore, pull the line, and get the trap. This second observation was crucial. It suggested that this wasn't just a fluke. It was likely a skill being passed from one wolf to another. The pack was learning. They were teaching each other how to fish for crab traps. So how does a behavior like this even start? Researchers can only speculate, but they have a very plausible theory. They think it probably began with the easiest targets. At low tide, some of the traps might have been left fully exposed on the beach. A curious wolf could have easily investigated and discovered the bait inside. This would have been the first step. Then the wolves might have started targeting traps that were only partially submerged. This would require a little more effort, maybe wading into the water. This is where the learning process would have kicked in, through trial and error. A wolf might have accidentally tugged on the line attached to a partially submerged trap and realized it could be moved. From there, it's a logical leap, at least for a creature as intelligent as a wolf. They would start to associate the line with a trap. Then, they'd associate the floating buoy with the line. It would be a process of incremental learning, building on previous successes. As Kyle Artel explains, there might have been this incremental learning that started with the trap fully on shore, two traps partly submerged, to then associating the line with the trap and then the buoy with the line. It would make a lot of sense, and that's often how we learn. This step-by-step evolution of a complex skill is a hallmark of higher intelligence. It shows a capacity for understanding cause and effect in a way we usually reserve for primates or marine mammals like dolphins. This discovery has opened up a whole new field of study for the researchers. In Bella Bella, they now have cameras dedicated 24/7 to monitoring the crab traps, hoping to document more of this incredible behavior. They want to know how many wolves in the pack have learned this skill, Do they have different techniques? Do the older wolves teach the younger ones directly? Each piece of footage could hold a new clue about the cognitive abilities of these amazing animals. Of course, they also have a practical problem to solve: how to protect their research equipment from being constantly raided by these clever wolves without harming them. It's a delicate balance. This is more than just a cute animal story. It's a profound reminder of how much we still have to learn about the natural world. These sea wolves are not just surviving, they are adapting, innovating, and teaching. They are using their environment in ways we never thought possible. Kyle Artel believes this is just the beginning. Some really special things are happening here, and we want to understand more about that, he said. What else is happening on the ground? What else do these wolves have to teach us? This is really just the tip of the iceberg. The wolves of British Columbia's coast are challenging our definitions of intelligence and tool use. They are showing us that the wild is full of minds that are constantly working, solving problems, and passing down knowledge. It's a powerful lesson in humility and a thrilling glimpse into the secret lives of one of the world's most iconic predators. What other incredible behaviors are happening right now, just beyond our sight? The story of the trap-pulling sea wolves proves that there are still so many wonders left to discover. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, please hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible stories from the natural world. Let us know in the comments what you think about this amazing wolf behavior. We'll see you in the next video.